Hello, and welcome back to the channel. So there I was, standing in my kitchen, staring into the refrigerator like it was going to hand me the meaning of life somewhere between the eggs and the leftover grilled chicken. And I couldn't help but wonder, when did I become the woman who has everything she worked for and still feels like something's missing? Now, before you click off because you think this is going to be dramatic, stay with me. This isn't about blowing up your life. This isn't about regret. This isn't about running away. This is about that quiet feeling. The one that shows up when the house is still, when the phone isn't buzzing, when there's no one asking you for anything. It's subtle, but it's persistent. Is this it? And if you are anywhere in your late 40s, 50s, or beyond, I promise you, you are not the only one Googling that at 10:42 p.m. Let's just acknowledge something. We built this life. We worked, we raised, we juggled, we survived things we don't even talk about anymore. We were the generation of women who were told we could do it all. So we did. Maybe some of it, or maybe all of it. Career, marriage, motherhood, fitness, friendships, meal prep, PTA, aging parents, the list could go on and on. And we did it. And we did it tired. We did it hormonal. We did it overwhelmed. We did it anyway. So when midlife rolls in and we start feeling restless, it almost feels insulting. Like, excuse me? After all that effort, now I'm confused? But here's the part that no one explained. We spent decades becoming who we needed to be for everyone else. Midlife is when we finally have enough space to ask who we are for ourselves. And that question, it can feel destabilizing. I don't think we talk enough about identity in midlife, because when the kids grow up, or the career plateaus, or the marriage shifts, or the body changes, something subtle happens. The roles that defined us loosen, and we're left there standing thinking, okay, if I'm not constantly needed, if I'm not striving, if I'm not proving, then who am I? I remember a season where I was working full time, still training people on the side, still checking every responsible adult box, and yet I felt this strange ache. Not sadness, not depression, just like a nudge, like life tapping me on the shoulder saying, there's more. But more of what? That's the maddening part, because midlife doesn't hand you a brochure. It hands you a blank page. Now, here's what I've come to believe. Feeling lost in midlife is not a crisis. It's awareness. It's what happens when autopilot turns off. For years, we're in motion. Deadlines, drop-offs, dinners, dreams that got postponed because somebody else needed us first. We didn't have time to question our path, but now we do. And when you finally slow down enough to look around, sometimes you realize you climbed a ladder, but you're not sure it's leaning against the wall that you would choose today. That realization is not failure, it's maturity, it's wisdom, it's growth, and growth rarely feels comfortable. Now, can we talk about the guilt? Because this is where women get stuck. We think, I have a good life, I should be grateful. And yes, gratitude does matter. But gratitude and desire can coexist. You can appreciate your marriage and still crave deeper connection. You can love your kids and still want a life that doesn't revolve around them. You can value your career and still feel called towards something new. Wanting more doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're alive. And I think midlife is when we finally give ourselves permission to admit that. And let's not pretend hormones aren't in the chat, because they are. Our bodies change or are changing. Sleep changes, energy changes, metabolism changes, and when your body shifts, your confidence can wobble. You don't feel quite like yourself physically, which can make you question yourself emotionally. And I have noticed something. When our bodies change, we sometimes interpret it as a decline. But what if it's transition? We are not 25 anymore. And you know what? Thank God, because we are wiser, stronger, less tolerant of nonsense, more discerning with our time. But the culture doesn't celebrate this phase loudly. So sometimes we internalize the message that we're fading. And I reject that. We are not fading. We are refining. Here's the shift that changed everything for me. I stopped asking, what's wrong with me? And I started asking, what feels unfinished? That question is powerful because most of us don't feel lost. We feel incomplete. There's something we set down years ago, a creative urge, a business idea, a degree, a version of ourselves that got shelved while we were handling life. And midlife has a funny way of bringing those things back up. Not loudly, but persistently. You start thinking about that certification again, that trip, that project, that side idea, that dream. And instead of dismissing it as unrealistic, what if you listened? I think social media makes this season confusing. It looks like everyone is reinventing themselves overnight. New business, new body, new relationship, new identity. But midlife doesn't require a dramatic reinvention. It requires alignment, small moves, honest adjustments, tiny, brave steps. Sign up for that class, start the channel, go back to the gym consistently, have the conversation, set the boundary. You don't have to burn your life down. You just have to start building something that belongs to you. And here's something I think about often. We are the first generation of women in our 50s who are not quietly stepping aside. We are building online businesses, starting podcasts, going back to school, traveling solo, starting over after divorce, getting stronger physically in our 50s than we were in our 30s. We are not winding down. We are recalibrating, and that is powerful because our mothers didn't necessarily model this. They were strong in different ways, but this version of midlife, expansive, curious, evolving, feels new, and we're writing it as we go. And I can't help but wonder, what if the season, or what if the reason so many of us feel lost is because we're standing at the edge of our most authentic chapter? Not the chapter where we prove, not the chapter where we survive, not the chapter where we hustle for validation, but the chapter where we choose. Choose how we spend our time. Choose who has access to our energy. Choose what we build next. Choose what we release. That's not a breakdown. That's power. If you've been feeling restless or disconnected or like you're in between versions of yourself, here's what I want you to remember. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not dramatic. You are evolving. And evolution can feel lonely when you don't see it reflected around you. But I promise you, it's happening everywhere. In kitchens, in cars, on morning walks, in late night Google searches. Women waking up, quietly deciding, I want more from the second half of my life. And that is not selfish. That is sacred. So maybe the question isn't, why do I feel lost? Maybe the better question is, What is trying to emerge? Because lost implies you've disappeared, and I don't think that's true. I think you're resurfacing, stronger, clearer, less willing to settle, more aware of time. And I, for one, think that's beautiful. If any of this resonated with you at all, I would love to hear from you, so tell me in the comments. You can just say awakening, because sometimes the most healing thing is realizing we are not alone in this. And if you're walking through midlife with me, hit that subscribe button. We're not shrinking over here. We're expanding. And I have a feeling the best part of our story hasn't even been written yet.